Morning everyone, this is Matthias Chang from Future Fast Forward once again. In today's address, I will raise three issues, two of which is very important, the third, a side issue, and even though it's a side issue, I need to rebut some of the things raised within that issue so as to avoid confusion and misunderstanding on the part of the Rakyat. The first issue concerns our Prime Minister. In a statement on 28th August, Najib says that he will not apologize for certain measures taken for the sake of the country's security. I will not be apologetic to ensure national security. And that statement was made in the context of the National Security Act, which came into force on the 1st August of this year. He has not taken any action yet, but he says he will not be apologetic. That means he's preempting the fact that he intends to implement the draconian provisions of the Act. There is a premise for that Act. But let me tell all Malaysians that before the Act came into force, there was already in existence a National Security Council advising the Prime Minister and the Cabinet. What the new Act has done is to give legislative power and authority to a small group of people, which is not necessary for the purpose of maintaining security of our country. For prior to the enforcement and enactment and enforcement of NSC Act, no one within UMNO or Batan National ever demanded or stated by way of a white paper in Parliament, in the manifesto of Batan National during the general elections in 2013, that they would require such draconian measures. And even after the abolition of ISA, there was put in place another act, which is essentially an anti-terrorism act, which have equally draconian measures. So you have to ask Najib, why the NSC Act now that give him draconian powers to declare any area a security area, and he can do whatever you want if that is being enforced. So let me say to you that if a man is so arrogant to say that he will not be apologetic or apologize for even wrong actions, that shows his arrogance and lack of humility. That's why he has never apologized for the scandal, the chaos, the lies and bullshit emanating from one MDB. For all the criminal actions perpetrated by the members of the criminal cabal as a result of one MDB. No apology. And he arroged himself that by that action, by that stance, he was to project that he is therefore a strong leader. May I say to Najib, on the contrary, it shows you are weak. You are trying to show bravado and put on a wayang kulit. So may I ask all of you, all Malaysians, beware of this statement by Najib, the Prime Minister. He's preparing the country and justifying the actions which he intends to implement in due course. Because he knows that the country is against him. He cannot escape from the indictment of the criminality arising from DP. Let's move on. The next statement of Najib is that on the 27th of August, he says this: at the opening of the Cameron Highland UMNO division meeting. If I'm to be toppled, then contest in the UMNO election, but don't destroy UMNO. I'll repeat that. He said, if I'm to be toppled, then contest in the UMNO elections, but don't destroy UMNO. Isn't that interesting, this statement? This statement came after he attacked Tun Mahathir. He attacked the formation and the registration of a new party by Mahathir. And then rebutted him with counterattack and say, hey, scumbag Prime Minister, you say he cannot be toppled in any way except by law via a general election in accordance with parliamentary democracy. That you have agreed together with your ministers, your deputy Prime Minister, your so-called MKT members, that is a democratic right of anyone to form any party to compete in the general election. You were caught in a cul-de-sac. You couldn't retreat anymore. You were exposed as a liar, as a hypocrite. Therefore, you now fall back to say, if you want to topple me, then contest in the UMNO elections. Oh my God, how you spin, you turn, you flip-flop. Why do you say that? Before you sack Tan Sri Muhyiddin. First, as Deputy Prime Minister, and secondly, as Deputy President. You sack him! And then you sack another potential contender, Shafi Abdal, Vice President of UMNO. And then you sack other members who didn't agree with you. You said that any problems within UMNO is a family quarrel, and there must be discussion and we can overcome disagreement. Was that not what Tan Sri Muhyiddin and Dato' Abdal tried to do, and other members? To enter a dialogue with you to resolve one MDB, but you couldn't be bothered. You dismissed them as troublemakers, and you sacked them. Now they are sacked, they're not the members of UMNO, and you have controlled MKT to the mantra, cash is king, and you worship on the altar of money god. You didn't ask people to contest in the UMNO election, to challenge you. But you removed the main contender in a challenge. Unlike Tun Mahathir, when Musa Hitam, Tunku Razale challenged him, he says, go ahead. In a real challenge. Why did you do that? Instead, you condemn Mahathir. Let me say to you, since you say, if I'm to be toppled, then contest in the UMNO election, but don't destroy UMNO. Let me say, I'm willing to challenge you in the UMNO election. But since I'm not a member of UMNO, I challenge you to invite me to join UMNO. And I'll definitely join UMNO. And I'll take you on, even though it's not a level playing field. So if you are serious for a real challenge to your tyrannical, dictatorial, authoritarian rule as head of the cabal, please register me as an UMNO member, and I will challenge you. And if you dare and you mean there'll be free and fair election, then postpone all UMNO division meetings, that whichever one has been held recently, all right, cancel them, so that I have an opportunity to go to the whole country to speak to each and every member of UMNO. If not, right, that challenge is hollow. For heaven's sake, Najib, Don't make a fool of yourself. People are not stupid. We know the challenge is hollow. Okay? Now you want to go back to UMNO. And what your Musahidam says, the mouthpiece, the scumbag mouthpiece, your crony, he says what? You can't challenge Najib anymore in UMNO. Neither can you challenge it in Parliament. Go to general election. And when we do that, you say we can't do that. And now you come back to the UMNO election. Shame. Please, for heaven's sake, be consistent, okay? Please, for heaven's sake, be honest. You sound like an empty barrel, all noise. Stop it. Stop using any more challenge, okay? We know what we have to do as Rakyat of Malaysia, okay? So stop it. Don't issue threats and divert attention from the real issue, the heinous crimes, the financial rape of our country has taken place, and people must account for that crime. All right? So, on this point, first point, let me reiterate again to the whole of Malaysia. Since Najib has issued a challenge, if I'm to be toppled, then contest in the UMNO elections, but don't destroy UMNO. I'm willing to accept that challenge because he didn't qualify, you see, as to who can challenge him. All right? Since he sacked other people, I'm willing to come back to UMNO. I used to work and support UMNO. So please, tell all your leaders, MKT, invite Matthias Chang. I know it's been tough. I know it's against me, but I want to see you in UMNO and fight you head on. So that I can tell UMNO members, you're so afraid of me that even you impose the most draconian law, you abuse the law by having me arrested, charged as a terrorist under SOSMA. If you're really, really courageous, a strong leader, I even dare you to remove the charge of SOSMA against me and let there be an actual level playing field. And then we fight to the very end. Let's see who will win on principles. Secondly, I have another matter which I need to raise to Malaysians all over the country, is this. It's been reported in a newspaper that some Chinese chauvinists who are in control of a clan association, the Hokkien Association, is on a national campaign to oppose so-called hudud. All right? Now you'll recall sometime back that I brought to your attention a statement by this idiotic, brainless woman, head of MC Wanita, Datuk Han Sing Ki. Okay? Remember this picture? Please have it tattooed in your mind, right? Head of Wanita UMNO. Now, this is what she says, okay? This is what she says. Read those words carefully, okay? Wanita MCA Chief Han Sing Ki, in a press statement 31st May 2016, believes that UMNO hands are tied on this issue due to religious considerations. Due to this scenario, she said, BN parties such as MCA, Gerakan, and MIC had to step up to the plate. Quote, as it is too sensitive for UMNO to oppose, it is thus left to BN component parties to do the check and balance, to safeguard the spirit of moderation of our beloved country. Okay? This is what Han Sing Ki says. This scumbag, brainless woman. Now, having said that UMNO doesn't have the backbone to challenge Hadi, and the motion he presented in Parliament, she said she was asked to do so. China Kwai, to be the mouthpiece of UMNO to oppose Hudud. She is so stupid to be the mouthpiece when UMNO leaders have no guts to do so. And yet, out of the blues, the leaders of the Hokkien Association came out in a statement on 7 August, as reported in Sinchu newspaper, that they are on a campaign, signature campaign, 1 million among the Chinese community to oppose Hudud. So, the question is, since MC has kept their mouth shut, zip up, why would the Hokkien Association take a stance in place of MCA? You see, MC is being quiet, no more statement. Liao Tong Lai, Rika Siong, all these people, no more statement. And out of the blues, this bunch of chauvinists of the Hokkien Association launched a campaign, signature campaign. Let me say this to you. This is not a genuine campaign to uphold the Constitution of Malaysia or the principle of equality of law of all citizens, but rather because MCA knows they're not getting any Chinese support, they're using another mouthpiece, chauvinists, to gather support, to whip up emotions, chauvinist emotions, sectarianism, bigotry, and create a divide between the Muslims, Malay, and non-Muslims, Chinese, in the hope that the Chinese will swing to MCA and thereby give support to BN and create confusion and fear. It may happen in the past, but let me tell you, let me expose this hideousness. Because the statement by Hang Seng Kee was in May. This campaign was launched on 1st July, after we have whacked that silly Derek woman and MC and Gerakan to talk rubbish about Islamic law. For 2 months, they conspired, they planned to launch this campaign. This hideous campaign to also challenge a greater, more relevant campaign, the Citizens' Campaign, launched by all the opposition parties together with Tun Mahathir. So let me say to you, okay, this is a statement, right, issued by the president of the Hokkien Association, okay, and the deputy. Let me say these words to you. In Johor Bahru, quote, the signature campaign the name of the campaign is called Strongly Oppose Sharia Criminal Law, Upholding Federal Constitution, organized by the Federation of Hokkien Associations Malaysia. Arrived in Johor Bahru today, the team was warmly received by 5 Chinese dialect groups and other Chinese organizations in Johor Bahru, 7 August. To all the Muslims in Malaysia, to all Malays in Malaysia, look at the title of this campaign. It's in quotes. Strongly oppose Sharia criminal law, upholding federal constitution. These are the words, not mine. This is the title of the campaign. Have it tattooed in your mind. Okay? Now you may say that this campaign, the title, may be wrongfully quoted by the newspaper. Let me tell you, this is not so. Why? Because the president of the Federation of Hokkien Association, Tan Sri Koo Chai Ka, on 7 August made a statement. Strongly oppose Sharia criminal law, upholding federal constitution signature campaign ends on September 20th, 2016. And presently, they have already received 300,000 signatures. Got it? So Tan Sri Koo Chai Ka, the president of the association, reaffirm that the title of the campaign is Strongly Oppose Sharia Criminal Law, Upholding the Federal Constitution. Can you see it? Can you see the fraud, the subtlety, the campaign to divert their true struggle? This is why these chauvinists, and I'm a Chinese, I'm going to expose this bunch of chauvinists, is so dangerous to Muslim, to Islam, and to the Malay community. Recall the words again. Why do I say dangerous? I'm sure you realize it. Because if we use the word strongly oppose Sharia criminal law, Sharia criminal law is not hudud. Hudud is only part of the Sharia criminal law. Ask any Malay scholars, Islamic scholars, Muslim scholars. They are opposing the entire Sharia law. You see? How they mislead the Chinese. They're not opposing the hudud. As in the motion by Hadi in Parliament. They are saying the campaign is totally against Sharia criminal law. I didn't say this scumbag, this Tan Sri, and I hope are gone. As the head of the Islamic religion of the Federation and the sultans of the head of religion of each state will remove his title as Tan Sri, or if he's a Datuk, remove his Datuship. And I hope that the authorities will charge him for sedition. Because there's no basis in this country for anyone to oppose the Sharia criminal law. Okay? Now, let us see how. And he says, alright, they have already received 300 signatures. 7 August 2016. On that day, 300,000 signatures. Now, let's see. This bunch of chauvinist bigots. And I condemn them, and I disassociate completely with them. They are not genuine Chinese. They are not real patriots. Why? Next statement. Federation of Hokkien Association, Malaysia President Tan Sri Koo Chai Ka says 1 million signature campaign against hudud law, is progressing well, with 400,000 signatures collected so far. Now he talk about hudud. You see the difference? Two contradiction. The first title of the campaign is entirely against Sharia criminal law. Next breath, he says it's against hudud. That's not a danger. But these scumbags, they don't know the difference between hudud and Sharia criminal law. He then said that they have collected 300,000 signatures. This statement was made on 11th August. Alright? 4 days later. And now they say, within 4 days, they have collected 400,000 signatures. I challenge Tan Sri, Koo Chai Ka, and the entire leadership of the Hokkien Association. You audit the accounts, the signatures, and you prove to me and to the whole country you have 400,000 signatures by 11th August. And tell the country, what are you opposing? You have lied. Because you are a Tan Sri. You know that this statement, this issue is very, very volatile, very emotional. You would have considered among your committee members, you would have sought, I presume, advice from lawyers and from Muslim scholars. What is the campaign? You can't lie anymore. You say in your campaign, and the title is within quotes, you are against the entire Sharia criminal law. You are a scumbag in a traitorous country. Now, if you say you are this hudud, as contained in Hadi's motion before Parliament, because it's not equal before the law, Muslims are suffering more than non-Muslims, then you should by right oppose the entire Muslim laws. Why only that part of the motion by Hadi? You see, you are in your haste, in your bigotry, in your false pretension to oppose hudud and to whip up emotions of the Chinese, you have stumbled and fall into a silly trap so as to be the crony mouthpiece of MCA. Now, the Deputy President says this. Take Kim Take. As a result, there will be two sets of parallel laws, which has never happened in other countries around the world and will adversely affect the equal rights of all people in the country. This is a statement by the Deputy President, Tay Kim Tae. Two parallel laws. There's always been two parallel laws. Sharia law has always been existed next to the common law. But Sharia law was confined to Muslims. So what are you talking about? Which has never happened in other countries. Lie, bullshit, and other horseshits. You scumbag! You don't even have the responsibility to check your facts properly before you make a statement. No other country. Okay. Then, let me expose, and I invite all my Muslim friends and my Malay friends, please do not be provoked by this bunch of scumbags, mouthpiece, pretending to be a defender of the Chinese or non-Muslims. They are provoking you, okay, to counter them. Don't. For Allah has taught you and inspired you that justice is second to piety. That justice is second to the worship, the adoration, and the obedience to God Almighty. Be just. Therefore, do not be lured and trapped into emotional response to this bunch of scumbags, chauvinist Chinese bigots, and false information, misrepresentation. Why? Okay. You don't even know. I'll read slowly to you. The status of Sharia in UK. This will come as a shock to this bunch of idiots. In 2008, UK's government formally recognized the first Sharia law court, and the Archbishop of Canterbury, the head of Church of England, conceded that adopting elements of the Sharia law into the UK's court system was unavoidable. Since then, over 100 Sharia law courts, I repeat, over 100 Sharia law courts have been established across the UK. And although they technically lie within UK's tribunal court system, these Sharia courts have been issuing rulings that contradict Britain's common law, as well as European Union laws. In 2011, Britain Muslims began demanding that Sharia replace British common law and become the only law in towns with large Muslim population, including Birmingham, Bradford, Derby, Dewsbury, Leeds, Leicester, Liverpool, Luton, Manchester, Sheffield, Waterford, and Tower Hamlets. Read this. I will count 10 seconds so that these bigots, these Hokkien association members cannot deny. I count that so that no one can say they don't have time to read or understand the statement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Therefore, how can this bunch of idiots say Sharia law is not in any other country? UK, over 100 courts. That's why it is so dangerous that if you don't know Islam, you've not done research, don't talk and mislead, especially the Chinese and non-Muslims. So my question is this to Tan Sri and this scumbag taking Tay. Have you talked to any ulamas? Tan Sri Kru Chaika? Have you talked to any scholars of Islam in Malaysia? The imams, the ustaz, the ulamas. And I want you, in response to this speech, to declare on oath in a Assembly Declaration affidavit who you talked to, when, and for how long, what was the advice by the ulamas, imams, and ustas from established authority in Malaysia and overseas. If not, you have no basis to launch a campaign with a title strongly oppose Sharia criminal law. You scumbag! You deserve to burn in hell. And have you talked to the Buddhist monks and Taoist monks, Hindu monks, or priests, or Christian priests? Do they understand this? Do they agree with you and your title of your campaign? Oppose Sharia criminal law. My God, you are so irresponsible. You are so immature. You are now telling the whole world you are a bigot, and you may very well cause bloodshed in this country. And let me tell you, it's because of your provocation, your incitement, your seditious statement. Some uneducated Malays or Muslims who don't understand are aroused to come forward in chaos or demonstration or killing. Any bloodshed will be on your head, Tan Sri Kru, on your head, Mr. Tay, Kim Tay, and all your members. By God, if there's any division, disunity between the Malays, Muslims, and the non-Muslims and non-Malays, you are responsible because you have instigated a division, anger and hatred. Damn you, you scoundrel. Damn you. And then you say, and I quote, if most of the BN National Member of Parliament abstains from voting, it is highly possible that a bill will be passed. Hence, it is pertinent to stop the bill from second reading. So, Tay Kim Tay, what is the basis for you to say if most of the BN MPs abstain from voting? And why do they do that? Who are this majority or most? Are they Malay MPs, Muslim MPs, or non-Muslims? Have you done a survey? Did MCA tell you to say this? Or do you have concrete evidence? If you don't have, this is an example of your idiocy, your stupidity, your infantile venture into politics and religion. May you rot in hell. Now, to all my Muslim friends, Saudara and Saudari, please, I'm begging you. There are people like that, Tan Sri Kru, Datuk Tay, who have sold their soul for bigotry, chauvinist objectives. And I'm trying to lure you to do things which are Islamic, un-Malaysian, because they are not sincere. They are not genuine patriots. Because if they are, they won't say this. They are an association, right? He's the president of the Hokkien Association, the Clan Association, and they have been able to assemble some of these clan groups in Johor. Next question I ask you is, why Johor? Such a big write-up in Johor. Think about it, the timing. Nothing is in coincidence. Why Johor? So soon. Okay? Now, since the association, I'm going to ask them, have they asked, make effort to talk to, for example, lawyers who can advise them correctly? And the best associate of lawyers that can advise them correctly is the Muslim Lawyers Association. They are very reputable. Why did you not ask them? Or have you asked them? If you have asked them, I want evidence on Secretary Declaration and affidavit, the time, the place, and what was discussed, and what was the advice. If you can't produce it, right, I'm now condemning you as a bunch of scumbags, traitors to Malaysia, to king and country. You have insulted the Agong, the head of Islam of the Constitution of the Federation. You have insulted the rulers in your state, be it Johor, Selangor, whatever, as head of the religion, by saying in your title, and you campaign in Johor. How dare you? When the Sultan said, Johor has bangsa, Johor, for unity between Malays, Muslims, and non-Malays, non-Muslims, all bangsa Johor. And you come to Johor with this crap that you oppose Sharia criminal law. My God, I hope you be hauled up by the Sultan of Johor. Because what you do by your action, by your words, by that campaign is contrary, totally subversive. It's a subversion of Johor Bangsa. And all the associates, Hokkien associates in Johor, gang together, conspired under the nose of the Johor Sultan in a blatant act of subversion, in a brutal propaganda against Islam. Shame on you! Shame on you! And shame on you! With that, I will pause here and finally go to my third issue, that is to give clarification as to the danger that will take place in Johor if people in Johor are misled by the scumbags, members of Hokkien Association, and any other scumbags, especially if these scumbags are non-Muslims, Chinese scumbags. You know why? Johor, insofar as geopolitical purposes and objective, is a front state, a frontline state facing Singapore. Some of you, and I would like to speak to my Malay saudara and saudari, I can understand, as a result of years of all this bigotry by the chauvinist, racist Chinese, you begin to have doubts about the sincerity of the Chinese in Malaysia. I can understand that. And I don't blame you. You have misperception. But on the other hand, you are told, have confidence in Singapore. Believe in Singapore. But Singapore is a nation of Chinese, bigots, racists, and chauvinists. The worst lot you can find in this world. Why? Let me tell you. Singapore is an island state. Without the open support of the power of US and UK, it would not survive. And today, as a matter of real politics and economics of the Singapore's economy, you will notice hundreds of thousands of Malaysians every day spend 4 hours going and coming back from Singapore to work in Singapore. Because they can't find jobs in Johor to pay that kind of money. Without Malaysians working in Singapore, Singapore would collapse. That's why Singapore is very clever. Awang cooling to show to the Johorians they are friendly. But their long-term objective is to subvert Johor. Because I put it to you, from a geopolitical point of view, Singapore will not survive without Johor. In another 10 years, Singapore will attempt, by hook or by crook, by legal or illegal means, to create a greater Singapore to encompass Johor, just as Israel wants to have a greater Israel from the Nile to the Euphrates, and create discourse, disunity, hate and anger among the Muslims in the Middle East, so that they can survive and slowly but surely occupy, subvert Muslim countries surrounding Israel. Likewise, Singapore will do the same, starting with Johor. There's a history of this. Is Singapore a real friend of Malaysia? Let me tell you this, okay? Lee Kuan Yew is a freaking liar. Singapore is not a friend. During the 1997 financial crisis, when we asked Singapore for help, they gave us help. In fact, Singapore was one of the areas, staging point, for the financial attack on Malaysia. Clock was used to subvert our stock exchange. Now let me tell you a story, okay? It will shock you. And I witnessed more than 20 witnesses. Highest level, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, all the cabinet members know about this. During the water crisis, Singapore Lee Kuan Yew and Goh Chok Tong tell our cabinet ministers, Mahathir lied, Mahathir flip-flopped. There was agreement already as to the amount of money to be paid for water upon the expiry of the water agreement. Everyone says, we can't fight Singapore. There's an agreement, signed, sealed and delivered. Sir, Prime Minister, you're wrong. You're bound by those agreements. As a result of all those meetings with Singapore, with the Prime Minister Lee Kuan Yew. This was the lie propagated worldwide against Malaysia, as if Tun Mahathir was a liar, was not a man of honor, would not honor an agreement. You know what happened? It's not solid, because the letter from Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew, is not just solid. Mahathir told me, as political secretary, there was no agreement. I know very well, but I can't find the document. I remember there was no agreement. Look for it and save Malaysia. Cut the story short. On my bended knees, I search and search in every corridor, in every room, in every box. And I discovered a letter signed by Lee Kuan Yew. And being a lawyer, he underlined certain words, he bolded certain words, and he said, with regard to the water agreement, which everyone was told is a signed deal, Malaysia cannot get out of it. There is no agreement between Singapore and Malaysia on the water issue unless and until there is agreement signed by the Prime Minister of Singapore and the Prime Minister of Malaysia. All notes, correspondence, letters, communications, exchanges between the two countries are not binding unless and until there is agreement. This is the essence of the letter. And there was a meeting after I recovered this letter, this nuclear weapon. I rushed to see our Prime Minister and said, finally, we've exposed the filthy lies of Lee Kuan Yew and Singapore. And the meeting was convened, chaired by the Prime Minister Mahathir. And I was there, I sat there, and that letter was shown to everyone. The lie of Lee Kuan Yew. Having written, there'll be no agreement until the agreement has been signed by Tun Mahathir, when he was Prime Minister, and Goh Chok Tong. No agreement whatsoever. But we were told and lied to. That is why, you recall those days, I launched a campaign in the newspapers against Singapore on the water issue. You see? So is Singapore a true friend? or a hideous, subversive enemy, a snake in our pockets. So, I will not do it anymore. I support unity in every state in our country. A call for unity is a patriotic call. But such call must be viewed properly in the context of the circumstances and the location of a particular state. In the case of Johor, may I invite all Johorians, think carefully. Singapore, behind your back, is subverting you. There's another issue I'm warning you now. Singapore is buying so much sand from Malaysia. Don't believe me? Ask scientists. What will happen to our coastline when you receipts as a result of sand mining to enable Singapore to extend its land area? And now that we lost the Batu Putih case, to show negligence and stupidity, they will go out and mine sand out in the ocean. You see what will happen? You will see what happens. Give another 6-7 years, you see what happens. The ocean will change, boundaries will change. Don't believe me? Ask scientists, ocean scientists, what will happen. So please, be very careful. The minister, rather the Menteri Besar of Johor, has whacked Mahathir. You know what he says? And I quote to you. To Mahathir, there's no need for him to speak and comment on matters not in his field of expertise. It's something that he cannot appreciate. This young punk of Menteri Besar criticized Mahathir. Does he know what he's talking about? He has been a prime minister of 22 years. Where were you? Huh? He has brought Malaysia to what is today. He's uplifted all the Malays and all the Muslims to be a shining example to the Muslim world, to the Ummah. He doesn't know. You say he doesn't know about foreign policy. The whole third world looked to Malaysia for leadership when he launched the Langkawi Dialogue. Leaders from South America, Africa, Asia came and looked towards Malaysia for leadership. So if Mahathir's foreign policy was antagonistic, was incorrect, why would all the leaders come to Malaysia to seek his guidance, advice? So please, Khalid, be humble, have humility, talk less, listen more and learn. Okay? Don't bite the hand that's fed you politically and brought prestige, stature, dignity to the Malays, to the Muslims of this country, and to the Malaysia as a whole. Mahathir was there. And Najib says Mahathir is quarrelsome. Who did he quarrel with? Musa Hitam challenged Mahathir. Tugu Razali challenged Mahathir. Did he quarrel with them? No. By all means, challenge me. They lost. For 30 over years, they kept the vengeance, the vindictiveness in their hearts. When you are not in the running for Deputy Prime Minister, Najib, because Kak Endor wanted Muhyiddin, Pala wanted Muhyiddin, did you not ask to Mahathir for help? To make you the Deputy Prime Minister. See, you don't have the guts to fight Patla, so you ask Mahathir to help you. And when he done that for you, and we became the Prime Minister, why did you topple Patla? By a coup! Do you ask Patla to call for UMNO elections so that you can stand against him and beat him and then succeed him? But instead, you toppled him. Alright? through a coup. But now you're asking all of us to topple you by an election at UMNO. You see, you're a scumbag, flip-flop, criminal, head of a criminal cabal. Dear fellow Malaysians, we are in dire times. Like I said before in all my addresses, every day goes by with more lies and lies and lies. Propaganda is enough. Be very careful. Do not fall prey to people like Tan Sri, Koo, Dato' Teh of the Hokkien Association, to the political leaders of MCA and Garakan, who don't have the guts to use their sidekicks in association, the client association. And this is so stupid. Let me say to you, to UMNO members, to Malay leaders, when I was the political secretary to Mahathir, our beloved leader for 22 years, not once have I kowtowed to Dong Zhao Zhong, the Chinese educationists, chauvinists, racist bigots, in any election. They have approached me to see Mahathir. I said, no, I don't need you, it's comebacks. And yet, we won in every by-election prior to the retirement of Mahathir as Prime Minister. We didn't need them. Because I knew the DNA are scumbags. They are cobras, snakes, poison snakes. And yet UMNO had not learned. In the 30th election, did not the Prime Minister went to Kajang and groveled at the head of Dong Zhao Zhong. And they promised what? We will deliver Chinese votes to you. Took millions and demand recognition of Chinese education. Did they deliver? No. They were generals without Chinese soldiers. Scumbags. And let me put on record. Let me put on record before I conclude. Before the election, I preferred a memorandum to Najib, 15 names, 15 Chinese candidates, which we vowed and guaranteed victory for these 15. But his advisors, scumbags, told him ignore this list and follow another list. That 15 were all defeated. All defeated. So don't say we didn't do our part. I worked my guts out for BN, for UMNO, and I did my part. Don't say the Chinese community betrayed UMNO or BN. These are component parties, their leaders, and some subversive in the Chinese association took your money, promised heaven, and betrayed UMNO. These are the scumbags, not the only Chinese. With that, may I call upon all Malaysians in these very difficult times, in these very confusing times, to hold on to one principle, please. Surrender to the will of God. I'm begging you. That is the only light that will shine truth for us and will clear the path. Have absolute faith that He will protect us, defend us, and guide us under all circumstances, in the face of all enemies, adversities, bigots, racists, chauvinists, so that we can build a genuine Malaysia. I give you my word. I give you my life to uphold this principle. This is not bravado. I'm not being courageous. You know what's courage? True courage, true faith. True courage is someone who has a lot of fears, but he pray to God and he strive every day to overcome those fears. And you know what's real faith? When you're faced with challenges, uncertainties, doubts, betrayal, true faith is when you realize there's only one answer one truth. And that truth, that answer, resides with God Almighty, with Allah. With that, I thank you for your attention. I bid you a good day and wish you all well.